Hey everyone, welcome to our tutorial on budgeting and cash flow. You are taking a big step that is going to set you apart from the vast majority of people. Most aren't making these types of plans, but these plans are essential to financial success in your financial future. Perhaps you've had problems before with trying to implement a budget and never really quite seemed to work. The principles you're going to use here and the tools are time tested, and thousands of families have used them to great success, including my own. And so good luck with this. Get started. If you need help, it's available. Just join the Facebook group that we've got going to help you out. You'll find the link on the page here as well. And all the best as you chart your way to financial success.
Okay, let's get started with your spending plan. Your spending plan gives every dollar a job. The place we want to start is with your net monthly income. Now, first off, I encourage you to sit down, take some time, give yourself some space, make yourself a nice cup of coffee or tea, and give an opportunity to really make this work for you. The Navy SEALs have an expression that slow is smooth and smooth is fast, and that's just as true with what we're doing here. To get this right, to get it the way you want it, you want to be smooth. And so it's going to take some time. Give yourself some space, give yourself a break, and work on this to get it right. It's going to take a while. I highly recommend you use pencil and eraser. I'm using my computer so that we can record this so you can see what's going on. But in reality, when I do these things, I use pencil and eraser because I'm correcting and revising and refining the whole plan as I go. Okay, so we start with your net monthly income. And for this example, we're going to say $3,500 a month. Now, your net monthly income is the amount of money that's actually coming into your personal economy every month. So it's the money you earn less the deductions. It's often referred to as take-home pay. If you have some outside sources of income other than work, your net monthly income may be higher than that and include some additional things. Okay, so your net monthly income, we're big fans of planned regular giving. So let's say that you're going to give $350 a month. Of course, that's all totally up to you. And then you want to indicate the total for the category. So there we've got $350. Next, we have the saving category. Now, your emergency fund, if you haven't got one already, that's a topic for another day, but we recommend 4 to 6 months of expense money. If you don't have one, you might be saving some money every month for that to build it up. And long-term saving, again, a much bigger topic for another day, but generally speaking, we recommend 15%, which in this case would be, I think, $525. And so you might have children or yourself that you're saving money for education. We'll add up the total there, and we're at $875 in that category. All right, so mortgage or rent, whatever you're paying there monthly, you should always have either homeowners or renters insurance. Call that $100 a month, probably less than that. Actually, let's change that. We'll call it $50 a month. Hopefully you don't have a second mortgage or a line of credit, but it's a very common thing. Again, debt is another one of those big topics we cover in another Spotlight course. We won't delve into that here. Of course, you should be saving money for your property taxes every month. Otherwise, you get hit with a pretty big, ugly bill. Depending where you are, that could range quite widely. Repairs and maintenance, especially if you're a homeowner, you need to be setting aside money every month for that. If you have a lot of furniture that you like, you'll want to be replacing your furniture from time to time, and that can be a big expense, so you might be setting aside some money every month for that as well. Again, we're going to total things up, which is $1,900 in this case. And so you get the idea. You don't have to watch me enter every category here. I'm just going to give you an idea of what each one is about. So we've got electricity, natural gas. Sometimes you may have a separate water bill, municipal services of some kind, or garbage, or what have you. Phones, television, internet. Sometimes parts or all of those are bundled. Transportation, there's a lot of great ways to get around now. So people may be taking transit. They may have a car share program. They may have a taxi or Uber service that they use. One thing that's not in there is a car replacement program. And that's something that we'll cover in a completely different course regarding buying the big things of life. All right, so up here, financial security. Again, you should be saving or using a bit of your money every month to put a bit of a fortress around your finances for those things that can happen that we don't have control over, like life insurance, extended health plans for health concerns, disability insurance, long-term care insurance, etc. The family category is an interesting category because it could be many things, but certainly daycare, school fees if you're paying those, possibly babysitting, child support, or spousal support if you're paying those. Food, we've tried to keep it relatively simple so that we have as groceries and dining out or coffee. People will ask, where should I include things like cleaning supplies in that? Personally, I just advocate including it in groceries. You can break it out into another category if you want to. I keep it all in there just to keep life simple. So cleaning supplies, toilet paper, all those other kinds of things that we generally buy when we're going to the grocery store, those things I like to keep in a single category. However, if you find that you have a category that your expenses are higher than you would like and you're not quite sure how to deal with it, sometimes you have to break down your category into finer details so you can figure out where the money's going and make the adjustments that you want to make. All right, down in healthcare, we have things like your non-work benefits plan. So that would be a plan that's completely outside of your employment. It's a personal benefits plan you have. Prescription costs, private medical costs, if you're paying for those can be many, many different things. Dental costs. So if we go down to the second page, you'll see more of the expense categories on the left. I'll just scroll down to highlight the one category called debt. And again, not going to get into that, but your goal ultimately should be that there be no money going to any of these types of debt payments. We advocate that the only place that you might want to use debt, and even that's not essential, but you may want to use debt, is to purchase your home. And we have a whole course on what that's about and what kind of amounts you should be looking at there. But you want to not be putting yourself into a position where debt is choking out your life. And we talk all about how you can put a plan together to take care of that. One question we get often is, how much should I be spending in each category? What you'll notice here is that we have suggestions for you in each category. Now, for many of these categories, there's no hard and fast rule. But for some of them, we do have specific rules that can be very helpful. For example, in the saving category, saving 15% of your income if you're in the early to mid stages of your career, saving 15% will ensure that if invested properly, you have a well-funded retirement. Similarly, you don't want to be spending more than 25 to 30% of your income on your home costs, or you'll find yourself what many Canadians experience called being house poor, where you have a house and it's great and you're paying it down, but you have no money to spend, and it can be fairly uncomfortable. These categories are not hard and fast. That's why they're ranges. There's no fixed rules about some of these things. Just to give you a couple of examples, if you live in northern Canada, you would find that your food costs were quite high. But then again, you might also find that your income was higher to go with it. Or your taxes might be reduced with a northern living allowance to go with it. Similarly, if you live in downtown Toronto or downtown Vancouver, your housing costs might get higher, but your transportation costs might be significantly lower. There's a lot of people who live in the center of those expensive residential urban areas that don't own cars, and so their transportation costs are much lower. So these guidelines are just there to help you, give you some kind of sense of perspective on what you might be expecting to spend in any one of these categories. But of course, the critical answer is that your net monthly income and your total expenses should be equal. Once we've got all our categories done, what you want to do is take the totals from the categories and enter them here. So let me go back. I believe we had 350, 875 for savings. So we have 350 here, 875, and we enter the rest of it. And now you see, we'll enter our net monthly income from the first page, And now the sum of all our expenses from here, which we see comes out to $38.55. Okay, so we've identified that we have an issue, and that is that we're spending more money than we're bringing in every month. And where you'll notice that happening is credit card bills that aren't quite getting paid off every month. Again, we're big advocates of not using credit cards at all. And so what you find is you've got credit card balances that are going up incrementally, or you may find that sometimes when big annual payments come along, you don't have the money quite to cover them. Money can hide all over the place in your cash flow system, so when you have this problem, you may not notice it for a long period of time. But over time, what you'll find is you're getting more and more stressed out. So, as it says here, if you've given every dollar a job, your total expenses and net monthly income should be the same amount. And congratulations if you've done this. So, this is what the pencil and the eraser are for. If this is your situation, you need to go back and work on this until you get it to exactly where you need it to be. Now, once you've done giving every dollar a job, that's only the first step of what you're doing. The next critical step is to tell every dollar where to go and when to go there using the cash flow planner. Both these steps are essential because without them, we either get out of sync and our money isn't there when we need it to pay the expenses we need to, or our money isn't going where we want it to, and instead it's kind of drifting away, and we lose control so that we are not on track to achieve our goals and dreams. And this inability to map where your cash flow should go and when it should happen to having given every dollar a job, this is where things break down for people, where they're merely trying to work from a budget and they don't find that they're successful. So this system takes some time, it takes some focus, and it takes ongoing attention. Once we've got things going, we have to come back every month and review and see what did we do. So every month we're going to create a new spending plan and a new cash flow plan. What we're going to look at first, before we get down to business with our spending plan each month, is did we spend what we said we were going to? So for example, did we give the $350 we said we were going to? Did we do our long-term savings like we planned, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So what you're going to find out as you work your way through these plans is that over time you're going to learn about yourself and your systems and your habits and where things are working out well and where you might be stumbling a bit. So again, you need to give yourself some slack. You need to be able to accept that this is not going to go perfectly in the first month. For most people, it takes 3 or 4 months before they get their system well enough refined that everything is on track, money's coming in and going out exactly where you want it to, and the categories that matter to you, that are the path to achieving your financial goals and dreams, that those are what you're achieving every month, every year.
Okay, now to our next part, which is where the rubber really meets the road, and that is our cash flow plan. So sharpen up your pencil. If you're in need of a different point of view, you can always use a pencil that gives you a happier disposition. So let's get going. So you'll see here with your cash flow plan that we're now going to step away from our theory, which is what our spending plan is and what normally a budget is. And we're going to actually look at how we're going to deploy money as it comes in. So what we're going to do here with our cash flow plan is going to take each paycheck one by one. And so we have the pay period start and end and our net income for that pay period. So for example, let's say we're working in February and maybe we're in a 2-income household. So we've got one pay period that starts February 1. This person gets paid on the 1st and the 15th, so we'll say 14th is the last date. And the income there is $1,000. So now we look at perhaps a spouse who has an income and they're getting paid perhaps every 2 weeks.
So maybe theirs goes from January 27th to February 10th. And perhaps they're getting $750 in that pay period. So now, what we're going to do is we're actually going to allocate where the money goes from each paycheck. So in this pay period, perhaps we're giving $50 of our money because that's what fits with this pay period. And so what we're going to do here in the left column for each of these categories is enter the amount we're planning to spend and run a running total. So we started with 1,000, we've allocated 50, so we're down to $950 here now. And so again, let's say we're going to allocate $50 of this to our emergency fund. We're down to $900. So then, of course, we have a big expenditure this month for our mortgage at the beginning of the month. So let's say that's our $750. So now we just have another $150 to allocate. And perhaps we have our natural gas bill to pay. And our phone bill is due. So we're down to $35 left to allocate. We go over the page and decide that we're going to allocate $35 to transit. And so we're remaining zero. So we have nothing left to spend or allocate on that pay period. Now we go back and we have our spouses, paycheck of $750. So again, perhaps we're going to allocate another $50 to giving. That leaves us $700. We've taken care of a bunch of these things. We'll take care of the property tax in pay period 3 because we're going to have 2 more pay periods, one for each of them through the month. Perhaps we're going to pay our television bill and our internet bill, which were each $50. So now we're down to $600. We need to spend some money, some on groceries. And you see how that all works. We carry on until we've allocated all of the money down to zero on the paycheck. So what this ensures is that we are going to spend and allocate our cash as it comes in. Our cash is going to flow out to those areas where we gave it a job. So we don't end up at the end of the month without enough money to pay for a particular bill, or we have some other kind of problem. This is what usually crashes people when they're trying to do budgeting, is they've allocated something neat and tidy on a monthly basis, which works fine, but that's just a theory. The cash flow plan is the actual practice. It's the actual putting into play the money that's coming in and telling it where to go and when to go. So you can see why this might take you a few months to get fully refined. This can be especially true if you have pay period cycles that are irregular or unpredictable. So for example, commission salespeople, people who get paid, some people get paid once a month, some people get very large bonuses. There's all sorts of different scenarios that may affect the regular flow of your income. And the cash flow plan is the place where this gets sorted out. And it's a bit of a messy business. It's not a perfect science, and that's why it'll take you usually 60 to 90 days to get it fully sorted out and operating the way you need it to. Once you get it operating, though, once you get this system fine-tuned, it's a pretty simple system to run, and it will keep you on track so that your money is going exactly where you want it to go every time, every month. And that is the most powerful foundation that you need to put in place in order to achieve all of your other financial goals. If you don't have control over your cash flow, you don't have control over your money, you don't have control over your finances, and you don't have control over your financial security or your financial future. So, sit down. You'll need to do this with your spouse. It's going to take you a fair bit of time the first time. And sit down and go through this, and then you're going to need to meet regularly as events unfold to go over this, make sure that you've got both your spending plan and your cash flow plan aligned, and that the money is going where you need it to, when you need it to. All right, that wraps up day 2 of the Financial Fitness 5-Day Challenge. By the way, if you need to know more, if you need more help on this cash flow plan, we actually have a cash flow plan course. You can go and register your name for it. We're going to be rolling it out later this month, and you're welcome to put your name on the waiting list. We'll notify you when it comes out. You can see that the address to go and do that is there on your screen. Just go ahead there, enter your name, and we'll get right in touch with you when that's good to go.